shows last week. Were you available, or did you work?
Brought up about what's up.
We didn't do the shows last week. Were you
I,
doing like working overtime and everything?
yeah, well, yeah, like I stated, I had to work all week last week because of lack of staff and lack of help. So they need me to help out on a good number of things. So I was able to do that and earn extra money in my pocket for sure. So everything's going good on that. So as you can see, everything is back to normal for this week. They just need me because a couple of people took time off and they needed me to help out with this and that and this, which, like I said, I had no problem doing. I worked with a great staff, great co-workers and such. I mean, everything is pretty much going good. All right. So I made this suggestion to YR in one of my vlogs pertaining to Sebastian Bach, Skid Row, and I figure a couple other incidents, particular in this case, kind of like seem suitable to bring up just as well. And I figure I devote a show to this discussion because we've seen this happen with Van Halen, the David Lee Roth. We've seen it with Sebastian Bach, Skid Row, as we just mentioned. And we also seen it with KK Downey and Judas Priest, trying to get back in with their old bandmates. We've seen it 3 times already. And also, we want to bring up the issues that they have, that many other iconic bands have had with their former bandmates, like Kiss versus Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, like Deep Purple versus Richie Blackmore. The list goes on and on. Like,
What's that, Glenn? You familiar with Glenn Hughes?
yes, I have. He was the ex-member of Deep Purple. He was the bass player and co-vocalist on various songs like "Burn," for example.
So that'd be a good. That would be. He's doing like a solo deal. That'd be something you'd be interested in seeing.
Well, Glenn Hughes is a very respected singer as well as a musician. He sang with Black Sabbath on their album Seventh Star from 1986. He sang with this project called Phenomenon, which sadly never got that much coverage here in the States back in 1985. He also worked with Gary Moore from Thin Lizzy. He's done a lot of projects. He's now part of this project called Black Country Communion. I guess they're supposed to be headed out on the road pretty much. And he also has some very interesting tales to tell about his time with Deep Purple, including when he played this Asian country, which I guess was Thailand or Vietnam, or which one of those countries. But
Yeah,
it was
that's Brown. That's like Deep Purple. What would you consider them being like? I mean, like, what genre would you consider them being in?
Well, I think it would be I know some of them say they're like a predecessor early heavy metal because of the way they did their songs. Yes.
Yes, like a darker type deal. But obviously Smoke on the Water, right? But there's much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. I mean, did you see that? I mean, not only Judas Priest, right? But there's so many bands out there that are so epic. Is the only word I can think of. Like the Saxon, and did you see any of that, by the way? That Saxon?
No,
and,
I never. I did.
Uriah
I
Heep?
watched. I did see those clips that you sent me through the Skype messaging board, and if it's to say that Uriah Heep is deserving of being considered what is basically to be heavy metal when you think about it, because he came up with some great songs like Gypsy, Stealing, One Day. In fact, I encourage you to check out the albums, like Sweet Freedom from '71, which is a pretty good album.
Yes.
I remember having the old cassette for that album there. I guess I tried to order it back in the '80s, but the only country that was available on cassette had to be New Zealand, but that was about it. I guess now Castle Communications, which is based out of the UK, they decided to reissue the entire Uriah Heep catalog. And also check out the original covers for the first album, Salisbury. Also check out the cover for A Bottom Log from 1982. If we used to, when I saw that, I was like, "What the hell, man?" I think we discussed this before years ago on shocking album covers of heavy metal at one point. All right, but YR did send me this little thing here. I'll let YR talk about it. I guess what's the thing you sent me there? Let me look it up.
I hear I'm going to send you some more news, but um, what would you like? Here's the deal,
Mhm.
and this is a show I should have went to, honestly,
Uh-huh.
but it already came through. Jack Russell's Great White. Basically, as we know, there's Great White and Jack Russell's Great White, two different touring
Yeah,
groups.
exactly. Exactly.
I'm always going to go for personally. I'll always pick the singer solo over the band.
Mhm.
If they're all split up, like I always go for that voice on the record or whatever. If it's still good, obviously. Like most are these days. Your Stephen Piercy, Sebastian Bach's,
Yep.
blah blah blah. Obviously, Vince Neil has gotten better. That's a big one I like to see. I know people have their opinions, but Vince Neil compared to 10, 15 years ago has gotten a lot better since ever since
Mhm.
that stadium tour. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I guess he had to
um,
do some sort of workout to prepare for that, for I understand, because prior to that, prior to the announcement of them reuniting, Vince Neil was like in bad, bad shape. I mean, like we all know how he looked like. There were so many memes named after how he looked. I mean, like holy cow! Shout at the devil's food cake. Remember that meme from a
come on,
couple years ago? Yep,
come
they
on.
did.
All
Instead of
right,
girls,
so
girls, girls, it was grills, grills, grills.
Brown, this is controversial. This whole Jack Russell deal, because what ended up happening is his health is in and out. He sits down singing. He sits in a chair.
Wow, wow.
Um,
A stool, maybe.
yeah, stool nowadays, right? But the whole problem was, brother. Imagine you're. Let me see, like the Stephen Piercy. I'm seeing Stephen Piercy, right? They Stephen Piercy's sick that day, so they have a replacement singer.
Yes.
Well, wait, everyone's want to see Stephen Piercy. Well, the venue is not offering a refund, so that's what happened here. This Jack Russell, he going through some sickness or something. So instead of canceling the show, instead of postponing it, they had the singer for. He bounces around. He's good. He bounces around. It's a name you'll probably recognize. He was the singer for Great White
Wow.
recently.
Oh, really?
What's that? Yeah, like a recent singer for Great White. But
Mitch Malloy.
no, not much. Look it up. Can you look it up real quick?
Let me
He
see
left
here.
though. They let him go or something. They
Andrew
left or
Freeman is the new guy.
yeah,
That
the
did.
Andrew Freeman.
He's the
So
fill-in for this gig there. I guess it's for one show. I guess.
I mean,
Um.
since then, but like I think he even did a couple things with George Lynch. I believe he was fronting Lynch Mob maybe or something. I mean,
Yeah.
he's versatile. Like he's a fill-in singer, blah blah blah, and so that's what they did. He filled in, but the venue didn't offer any refunds to
Oh
customers
wow. Oh wow.
on that. And absolutely, if that was a position I was in, I would want a refund because that's the only original member of Great White is Jack Russell. So what are you really seeing there? You know what I mean? You're seeing a tribute
I'm
band
seeing it. Yeah,
essentially,
exactly. I was going to say the exact
but
same
you're not
thing. I
paying that.
see a
Listen,
tribute group.
you're not paying that tribute band price because we're talking the place I was could have seen them. It was a double bill. It was them. It was Jack Russell's Great White and Firehouse. Now I'm pretty sure it wasn't the CJ guy who just passed away. It was like the one guy they're using on the Firehouse,
CJ
but
CJ
that was
Snare.
Yeah, that was like a more pricier. That was a $40 GA, Dr. Brown. That was a $40, I think plus tax on that. But a $40 GA ticket when a tribute band or like $10, right? And so imagine paying that $40 price and you're not getting, I would be mad. TBH, that's pretty shady. That's pretty messed up from the. I mean, I don't know if you blame the promoter, but really the venue, perhaps, like whoever's really making the most money and controls the tickets and everything. Like Brown, that is messed up, man. Like, how would you feel about like? I mean, look, cancellations and all that is like horrible. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst thing you want to hear is you pay all this money for a ticket or looking forward to a concert, Brown, and it gets canceled. Or I would have rather had it postponed or canceled. Now, Dr. Brown, hello.
I would rather take a postpone because like when you think about it, there, seeing some group and you're expected to see Jack Russell come out at somebody else, you're gonna feel like, what the
He's still
fuck?
deep, bro. He's still good. Like he's still like the voice is still there and everything. He can still sing. Like it's still
Yeah, that's
good. Like
true.
he
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 is.
comes on Eddie Trunks a lot or whatever, and um, so like it's the situation to where, and I don't know if any other venues do that. I don't know if he canceled the rest of his, you know, schedule or tour because of his sickness. I don't know, like the recent, but this was all last week. This is pretty recent. Like this
Well,
this really
what does
happened, and
he have, by the way? What does he have? What condition does he come
I don't know.
down
Look
with?
it up real quick. It's some type of, I don't know the recent sick. Might just be like a random sickness, but he does have some type of back issues or
Well,
spine issues
I
or
know
something.
he had I know when I saw Great White with him and Mark Kendall, the guitarist, play at the Riverfest in St. Clair, not, excuse me,
What?
St. Clair, Michigan, back in about, I think it was in 2010 or 2011 when I was still living in Richmond. And this is back in Michigan, by the way. And
Oh, Brian, you
I
thought I
know
was?
that, and by the way, Jack Russell was walking with a limp and with a cane when he came out and
Yes.
sing. So he did mention that he had a hip surgery, I guess, or some sort of a back surgery. If I understand, what I heard from another program, he was given these steroids, to make his back better. But now, apparently, it didn't really work out.
So I mean, that's pretty. Look, and look, a lot of these venues, if when they have the like seats, it's like more money. It's not a $20 deal. I mean, it can get up to $80 to
Yeah,
hundreds of dollars. For the seat if you want a seat at these venues for um. I mean, anywhere like there's places like this all over the United States. I'm not really talking like arenas. Like it's more like a smaller music venue, Brian, like a bar, like it has bar in it,
hmm,
almost like that concert pub north. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like,
I miss that place. I haven't been there in such a long time. You never did check out that place, did you? Anytime?
nah, I never hit that. You
No,
know,
I actually, it was one of the first spots I had started hitting up when I first moved to Texas back after 2014. It took a year later, but there was this one group that performed covers called Victim that was playing there. It was a good, modest crowd. In fact, the singer was handing out CDs of original material. And I think I still have it in my room somewhere. I gotta possibly check it out if I get the chance. I never got the chance to listen to that CD to see how it is, but they were mostly a cover band.
here, let me send you some news, by the way. So, like,
All right.
that's kind of the big, like, not much huge news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me see.
Trying to give it
I
a
mean, it's
while, folks.
not a huge. Uh, what was the? Did you see the
But
but? Did you see the any of the
this,
Ken show last night? I was watching it. It was nice.
I did watch it after. after you DM'd me about Hunter Biden, and I did a video after I came home from work about it, and I think it's safe to say now that the dude needs rehab more than ever because, well,
Yes.
now I don't know how the situation is in Delaware when this trial went down, but I will say this: I guess you're not supposed to own any firearm if you're a drug user, for I understand, because
Correct.
a drug user and with a firearm, not a good deal, obviously. But I guess the issue is that he unlawfully was possessing that weapon. He's lied in his documentation that he was not a drug addict when it turns out who he was. And we've seen all the proof and photos that were sent to us by various sources that he is an addict. He looked like stoned out of his mind. I mean, it's obviously for sure. Of course, as you know, KK's priests and Accept are hitting the road together, so there's gonna be lots of flying V's go around on the stage. That's for sure, because both KK and Wolf Hoffman are big flying V guitarists. They play that particular type of guitar at all times.
And I sent you that Wasp article.
Yeah, by the way, Wire also sent me Wasp performing live. It was Wild Child from some European
What do you think about
festival.
that?
Yeah, what is why is Black? I noticed that Blackie Lawless is sitting on the stool.
Well, I sent you the article all about that.
Oh yeah,
So
exactly. Explains why he performed seated at Sweden Rock. But the thing is, I have to. The problem is, you only sent me the screenshot, so I got to look it up here.
yeah, look it up.
Okay, give it a couple of seconds here. Blackie Lawless seated at Swedish Rock Festival. Okay, give it a couple of seconds here. Got to get to this. Okay, it's on blabbermouth.net. And here's the thing. Here we go. Give a couple of seconds to look it up here. I got it right now. I'm going to read some of it here. Wasp frontman Blackie Lawless was asked for an update on his health 10 months after he underwent a successful surgery to treat two herniated discs and a broken was a vertebrae. Lawless said when asked how's your health, that makes it sound to me like somebody had an illness or something like that. Maybe it's my sports background. Because for me, injuries are different. And what I've been dealing with is injuries, but it's coming along. Oh, so he had some surgery in his back, for I understand, which kind of like explains it. He continues to say, what I had was pretty serious. When it was first started last year, they told me that if I didn't stop, we were on tour in Europe. I had a chiropractor come in on one of our shows to do an adjustment on me. And we were in Madrid, Spain. The night before, we had been in Barcelona. I did what I thought was the best show on the whole tour at that point, and I was doing well. This guy comes in, he doesn't speak English, and the kid is strong as a gorilla. And we tried to, through the interpreter, try to explain to him what we wanted to do. This kid got a hold of me and he tweaked me. I felt it immediately, and when he did it, yeah, he literally twisted my upper torso. We find out later that he what is called a manipulars on the disc in my back, and I had heard of those before, dealing with nerve pain and things like that. But I never experienced it. Until you've experienced nerve pain, you can't imagine what that feels like. I mean, it's constantly on 10 and you cannot stop it. Oh, wow. I know Phil Anselmo from Pantera feels the same about that because you remember he had massive back issues during the Pantera's early day. I mean, that's what led him to do heroin. I guess it was a way of self medication, but as you all know, self medications usually lead to addictions, all in all. So Blackie was seated, obviously because he had some surgery in his back, which is understandable. I kind of figured something was up, maybe it was his leg or his back or something like that. I mean, you got to remember, a lot of these musicians from the 80s, they're having a lot of health issues because either the lifestyle that they had back in the day or part of growing old and such. I mean, like I remember Rob Halford
Yes.
had some. I remember Rob Halford had some surgery a couple years ago, probably around the time when Firepower came out. All right, so that's what explains why he was seated during that whole performance, which is understandable. Now, you did ask me would I go check out Wasp, but I said, I would check him out if Chris Holmes were to return to the lineup. But unfortunately, it just wouldn't be the same. Because to me, both Chris Holmes and Blackie Lawless are indeed the brains and brawn of Wasp altogether. And by the way, I do recommend this album called Kill Fuck Die from 1997 for you to check out sometime soon. Powerful album, massively powerful album. Touches of industrial added to these songs, but well worth it. Absolutely worth it, man. Fierce, powerful, brutal, way brutal. All right. So let's get into the main discussion. With all the talk of Skid Row doing the remaining gigs of their tour with Lizzie Hale as their front person, since
Which I think
Eric,
sounds
go
like
ahead,
shit.
right,
TBH. Yeah,
right.
it's like a cover band, bro. Come on.
Well, but then again, you gotta remember, there's a lot of money that's lost when you cancel gigs. And gotta remember, Skid Row ain't as
I mean,
big as it
yeah.
used to be. That's true. So I guess getting someone else to fill in for the remainder of those shows it was a good idea. And plus, Lizzie Hale being the big bombshell of heavy metal that she is, I mean, like she's always mentioned in the poll in Revolver magazine's most hottest females in heavy metal. She's always on that list, next to the singer from Lacuna Coil, Joan Jett, Lita Ford, like the singer from Arch Enemy. They're always up on there. Oh, Doro Pesh from Warlock, she's always up there just as well. She looks good. And I guess Lizzie Hale would be a big draw for the band because lots of people respect Lizzie Hale because not only is she a powerful vocalist, she's also has that powerful range. She did covers of very other songs on the album that she did with Hailstorm. She did a good cover of Shoot the Thrill from AC/DC, Descendant Aggressor by your favorite, my favorite, Judas Priest. And also, let's keep in mind that she is one hot mama. No doubt about that. I saw a couple of clips on Facebook of what she was wearing. Damn, she's a hot mama. No doubt about that. And she also has her own signature Gibson Explorer guitar series, believe it or not. So I guess it's going to be back to business and finding a new singer for Skid Row sometime soon. But as you know, Sebastian Bach said in a couple of interviews that this would now be a great time for him to reunite with his Skid Row bandmates, where Skid Row was like, nope, I'm sorry, we're happy in the spot that we're in. We don't need you, boss. Sorry, dude. And I guess that kind of pissed off Boss a little bit there. Boss being, of course, a short for Sebastian, according to the press. I remember reading years ago. Bach was in Detroit, Michigan at the beginning of this month, and he was not happy about seeing this fan wearing a Madam X T-shirt. Now, Madam X, have you heard of them, YR, by chance? For those who do not know, they're a Detroit-based heavy metal group, as I mentioned in the video about this. They're led by guitarist Maxine Petrucci and her sister and drummer Roxy Petrucci. Now, Roxy will later gain fame as a drummer for the all-female group Vixen. And of course, they would have numerous hits like Edge of a Broken Heart, Rev It Up, Heart 16, Crying, on and on and on. They're still on tour right now with Lorraine Lewis from Femme Fatale as their current vocalist. I guess one of their original guitar players, Jan, cannot pronounce her last name. She died in 2003 from cancer. And they got their current guitarist, Britt Lightning, doing the guitar playing now. And I guess, for understand, according to Bach, they brutally kicked him out of the group. And then a couple years later, he would join Skid Row. Now, Skid Row, when Bach was their front man, had lots of drama involved with them. And I guess the fits to say that some of that drama.
Was he like a big drinker too?
He was. I'm not too sure how he is now, but I remember he was involved in this
Bottles
VH1
are your
reality
best
show.
friend. You know, with your bottles, your best friend. Oh.
Yeah, pretty much. Back then, it was you had to do the lifestyle just as well as the look, as well as the music. You know, and party, drink, everything else. And Bach was one of those guys like to turn everything up to 11 in terms of Motley Crue, Kiss. He was a big Kiss fan. In fact, he was hoping Skid Row would open up for Kiss when the Kiss got back together. But apparently, a couple of members shot that idea down. Bach gets so infuriated, he leaves a threatening voicemail, I guess the bass player's voicemail. And then from then on, he was booted out of the group. Now, Bach has been doing solo shows and solo tours for how many years now? In fact, he's been on VH1 on countless times. In fact, the one I'm about to mention, Supergroup, which featured him, Scott Ian of Anthrax, Jason Bottom, the son of John Bottom, and Ted Nugent, and the bass player from Biohazard. In fact, Scott and Jason were getting fed up to hear with Bach's drinking all the time. And Ted Nugent had to go down there and send him down to have a little talk. And Nugent said straight up, no more drinking. No more drinking. And you know how anti-drug and anti-alcohol Nuge is. He will not take a stand for it. In fact, he fired a couple of his old band members for using them in the past. Now, I do not know if Bach, I should say, is still a heavy drinker at the age that he is. But if it's to say that, I guess the lots of drama, which probably was the reason why that Skid Row don't want him back. And let me explain the situation from the Skid's point of view. When you had these amount of issues that you had with this member, getting in trouble with the law, jumping out to a crowd to hit somebody and striking a teenage girl.
Bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've had like 9 replacement singers, bro. The Skid Row, like it's them that's the problem. Not
I know,
exactly.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, I know, but you got to remember, I guess what it is that I was about to explain that they're still kind of iffy when it comes to bringing Sebastian Bach back because of the issues that they had with him. You got to remember, aside from the bottle throwing incident back in late 1989, there was a shirt that he wore saying AIDS kills fags dead, which was set up like the Raid kills bugs dead logo. Lots of people got upset over that. There was a threat he made to Rachel Bolan in regards to opening for Kiss. In fact, one of the members of Skid Row said in an interview that they had to spend lots of dollars to keep Sebastian Bach out of jail. And Bach was known in the past for being an absolute prima donna. I mean, he showed that in that supergroup TV show that I mentioned a while ago. Many reviewers of that show mentioned that loud and clear. So it's the prima donna and also the drama that's kind of like keeping Bach away from rejoining Skid Row. And I guess Skid Row don't want to deal with that no more because I guess that left a big, heavy weight in the back of their minds. All right, so I guess Bach is back on tour with his project. He has a new album out called, I guess, The Child Inside the Man. He went off on this kid for wearing a Maniax t-shirt. And he also stated this: if you're going to wear a Skid Row t-shirt, make sure it's the one that he was involved in, not the other Skid Row with whichever singer they had currently. Because in a way, that's kind of like an insult to Bach. So no doubt he was pissed off over the fact that he was not let back into the group when the time should have been right. So there you have it. I guess they continue with their separate ways. Now we also talked about this person, KK Downey, who's going on tour with his band KK's Priest, along with Accept, as we mentioned earlier. They're going to be hitting the road together sometime soon this year. When Glenn Tipton announced that he was unable to tour because of his Parkinson's disease, KK Downey stepped right up and said, hey, how about me filling in for my boy Glenn? But they already got Andy Sneap to fill in his position. And of course, KK was not happy about that. In fact, even Richie Faulkner, he did speak out about it. He said that the whole drama between KK and Judas Priest is now becoming a shit show. I think what it was is that, KK realized that, hey, the other ventures that was doing at that time was not doing well. He tried rock promotion. He tried opening a golf course. He even had a fragrance,
Really?
yes, he even had a fragrance called Netto for Men. Look it up on the internet. I was interested in purchasing me some. I guess it's mail order at the moment, but I was remember going to various stores to see if they have it on sale. Not so. Now, I don't know if there is any available still. I got to check either Amazon or eBay to see if they still have it available. Because I was very interested and still am interested in purchasing a little bit of that. And when Priest finally said, no, we're happy where we're at right now with Andy Sneap and Richie Faulkner, that's when KK decided to put together his group, KK's Priest. It's got like an extension of the Judas Priest. And even though me and Wire spoke about the name, we both agreed that it should be just called KK and let it be done with it. But what can you do? I'm not the ones who make the decisions for the band. I'm not the manager. Now, KK is doing pretty well with his new group. They released a new album not too long ago. They have Tim Ripper Owens as their frontman, who, as you may remember, was the frontman for Judas Priest for 2 albums and 2 tours. Look up the albums Jugulator and Demolition. Those came out in the last couple years in the 1990s. Now, we also got to get to this one, Van Halen and David Lee Roth. Now, Van Halen and Roth did eventually reunite in 2007. Unfortunately, it was not the Van Halen that we know and love so well, As you know, Michael Anthony was not even mentioned. Wolfie Van Halen, Eddie's son, he was brought in to be the new bass player. Lots of people cried foul about that. Where's Michael Anthony? Get Michael Anthony back into the band. But unfortunately, I guess, according to Eddie, he said this in an interview: you can't be in two bands, which is bullshit. Because look at all the multi projects that Kevin Key, Skinny Puppy, has done throughout the 1990s, and the multiple amount of projects that Al Jorgensen of Ministry did throughout the early 1990s. And there's a lot of them he did, all for the same record label. 100,000 Hobo DJs, PTP, Revolting Cocks. The list goes on. Lard with Joe Bravia for the Dead Kennedys. I guess Eddie was not happy that Sammy and Michael have become good friends. So I guess he said, "Screw you,
That
Michael.
what
We're
it
going to
takes
get
to
my
tell me
son." Yeah,
why. Can't this be love? Straight from the heart. Broken mind. Can this be love? Um,
yeah,
look, and I'm excited to, talk about Ace Frehley here in a minute. That's really the biggest one in my.
hmm
If you really think about it, like the KK thing, he kind of like quit the band, but then like Judas Priest, like we kept doing shows. Their thing was like,
yeah,
we're gonna end. They're gonna end at that point. I think after the
yeah. The Epitaph tour from
Epitaph, the Epitaph
2011. Yeah,
tour,
yeah,
and they kept going, blah blah blah. So
yeah. That was, I believe, that was inspired to keep going by the success that Black Sabbath had with their album 13, which went to #1. But then here's,
and then
but I go ahead.
the KK
Damn.
the KK concerts way. I mean, it's kind of out of the question, Brown. It's in a bad part of town.
Mm.
They had
Here in Florida or in
what
the
now?
your area there.
Texas brother.
Oh, I
It's a
see.
bad part of town, and like I think it was the band Soulfly or something
Yeah,
like that.
Soulfly. Max featured one of the ex-members of Sepultura.
Well, it was something like that. They did a concert at the same venue, the KK one,
hmm
and it was like some worker, because he was hanging out by the buses or something. Some worker
Yes.
got like threatened with a knife from just some random
Really?
person walking around. Yeah, it's like a bad part of town, man.
Really?
It's like, come on, like why? This is the thing, like why? There's so many and everywhere. It's not here, like even Paul 3. Like there's so many places all around in all the states, your Connecticut's, your Pennsylvania's, your Texas, your Florida's, your Idaho's, that like small venues, music venues, Brown, like that. There's just so many to choose. Like, why does he have to go on? Like, oh, it's not out of the question. Like anything's possible, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like it's way expensive. It's like I don't know, 25, 40. I think it's $40 or something. I don't know, because it is two bands. It is Accept and KK's Priest. So like 40
Yes.
for GA. That's 20 a piece. I mean, that's not bad. So, but it's like I have to see it, Brown, somehow. I have to see this. I have to be there. I have, and as you know, the other half is
hmm
already done. Tickets paid
Yeah.
for, right? You know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly.
But CKK, that's it's a bit of a treat, my opinion. I gotta get there somehow. I mean, like there's easy ways to get. It's just way out of the way. I'm talking like an hour. I mean, hour and a half. I don't know. It's just way. I don't know. Like at the end of the day, they'll be back. I think, right?
Yeah.
And that it's It is pretty
I'm s-
sickening, man.
I'm still hoping that they'll. I would like to check them out here in Florida if they play a good venue that's close nearby. Because one of the reasons why I've yet to see any bands play is because most of the venues are way out there, way out, way like 3 hours a drive or 2 hours drive.
Well,
Like
that's not
crying out
that's
loud.
around like a couple hours. That's not too, depending on who it is.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes you got to
true.
drive a little bit far to see something great.
I know that's
Right?
true. There, that's true. I mean, like shit. The drive all the way from Texas to Florida was beyond interesting when you think about it, especially when you go through Mississippi like we did.
Well, I do want to give my condolences. You ever heard of this Jerry West guy I talked about?
I know, no, I haven't. Let me know who this person is. Oh no,
Jerry
interesting.
West, basketball player. He older. I'm sure if you saw a picture, you recognize him. He was in big major Laker player. Passed away
Ah,
today.
oh
Passed away.
wow,
A lot of
sorry to hear
people,
that.
like a lot of your, because if you rewind 20 years, the 2000s,
Yeah,
those people that were 20 and 30 then,
yep,
like 50 and 60 now, and
yeah,
when you get into your 50s and 60s, especially the 60s, I mean that's nearly the end of life,
mm,
and well, when health issues start coming up, right, in your
yeah,
60s, whatever. So we are seeing a lot of people we grew up with or
yeah.
watched on TV. We're seeing them get old.
That's true. Jack
60 and
Russell,
up is
Blackie
really
Lawless included.
all of that. 60 and up is really, you're seeing there's not a lot of people left, but yeah,
Like I said, with the issues with the Blackie Lawless, with his back issues, and Jack Russell from Great White with his issues. And like I stated, Rob Halford had to have some sort of surgery prior to the Firepower album being released. I know I detailed that in a magazine interview around that time. If it's to say that when you get in your 60s, you're going to have a lot of issues. So, everybody out there who's about reaching that age, start taking care of yourself big
like
time.
when you got the surgery, when you had your dental procedure done,
Yeah.
did you ask to keep your old teeth?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So you're out
No.
with the
Hell
old, in
no.
with the
Hell no.
new. Well,
Correct.
it's like,
Yes.
well, that's kind of how these bands are. It's like, if you have the main pieces, like your Paul Stanleys, like your Gene Simmons, and
Yeah.
as long as the fans keep paying for tickets,
Yeah.
they're going to keep doing it. Obviously, they retired. They're done now.
Yeah, it's true. There.
They're
There's
doing
still an
so.
audience.
Yeah, they're still on doing deal solo, but they're getting ready for that big AI deal, that big ABBA AI Kiss
Double
deal that they got. Yeah,
AI
which I
Kiss. Yeah, I remember that.
which which I would go to. I mean, they're saying it's going to be, you go to a stadium or you go to an arena,
Arena. Yeah.
and it's like it's going to be big, but
I would go check it out if there was a plot to it. Like something like you may remember a movie called Kiss Meet the Phantom of the Park in '78. It was a TV movie. It was a terrible movie, poorly written, poorly acted. But if they were to use the AI Kiss for something of that nature, with a lot better writing, a lot better voice acting, a lot better stuff there, then maybe I would like to check it out. Kind of like an update, like a new, better version of Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. That would be most interesting. Have like a storyline along with it with Kiss performing. And something a lot more better than Kiss meets Scooby Doo. They did that, believe it or not. I saw clips of it here on YouTube. All right, so back to Van Halen. You remember the press coverage about the two songs that they were doing with David Lee Roth back in 1996 for a greatest hits compilation? Remember that, YR? All right. So for those who do not
What year
know,
was that?
this was
What
in
year was that on? That came out?
1996.
Hmm.
It was announced that after Sammy Hagar was either booted out or left Van Halen after 10 years of that group, it was announced that Van Halen was going to be coming out with a greatest hits compilation with 2 new songs recorded with the original frontman, David Lee Roth. Songs like Can't Get That Stuff No More and the radio hit Me Wise Magic. Van Halen with Roth made an appearance at the MTV Video Music Awards that year. The round of applause was massively loud. People were like, Dave is back, Dave. In fact, there was a song by an alternative group called Nerve Herder called Van Halen, which they were dissing Sammy, but giving praise to David Lee Roth. In fact, many fans were hoping, yeah, maybe the original Van Halen would get back together. And Roth was even hinting at the fact that they would get back together to do a tour or an album sometime soon. They were actually he was actually making those kind of claims. Eddie and Alex got on the MTV cameras and he said only those 2 songs and that's that. And he said that the problem was backstage, Roth's ego was the reason why. Roth has been known to be an egomaniac at times.
I'd still like to go see him live, brother.
David Lee Roth, yeah, I know. If he's done doing any shows.
It's more talking. Listen, Dr. Brown, there's, like I said before, man, this is the time to see all these people. That's why I'm cramming a lot of these people in, man. Obviously, back in the day, Brown, in their prime,
Yes.
these people were better live singing, whatever. I mean, can only imagine. I mean, when these bands, when these what I like to call legacy artists, these huge songs, your AC/DCs, your Van Halen, just these huge major songs.
Yes. I wish I
Can't even
could check
imagine.
out AC/DC, by the way. And by the way, did you see, I saw a few reels on Facebook of them doing shows in Europe there.
Still good. It's good.
Big as fuck, man. The big ass crowd. You got to look them up, man, on YouTube or on Facebook if you
I know. I
haven't.
see them. I watch them all the time.
Damn. Holy
It's
cow.
big. It's pretty big, man.
Wow.
I mean, they're not. This is the thing with Rob Halford that you got to respect,
Absolutely.
and you got to keep in the back of your mind, like, he is gay, Dr. Brown, but
Oh,
you
we
don't
knew
see
that
him.
for years.
But you don't see him on commercials and on these shows, cramming it down your throat. It's a
No, thank
different.
goodness.
I feel like he comes from a different breed of gay. Like
Yes.
before there was even a pride flag. I feel like
Yes.
I respect. I mean, I'm not saying people should not say what they want and blah 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 whatever, but that is, and if he was out there and pushing it, would I still be a fan? Probably so, but I would still be kind of like whatever, right?
Come on,
It's one
Rob.
thing
Come
you
on,
gotta.
Rob. We know you're gay, but don't shove it
But
down our
he
throats,
don't.
okay,
But he
dude?
don't do it. But he don't do it. He does
I
not.
know. It's so much
It's great.
respect for him for that. Much respect for him for that, doing that, because so many. I remember you when you mentioned when you went into Target and you saw all that Pride gear for infants. That's like kind of like way shoving it down everybody's throat. And since it's Pride Month now that just started, most likely we're going to see Pride this, Pride that, Pride ice cream, Pride cereal. You never know. Of course, all the people who are gay or bisexual, they're going to be having fun over this, obviously. In fact, but Rob Halford, the only gay event that he took place in was this gay parade. I forgot which city it was. He was the grand marshal for that. That's the only one we know of. But going back to him being gay, we long suspected a long time ago, back in the 80s. My best friend even mentioned it. I think Rob Halford is gay. No, can't be, man. No, you're buffing me. Because A, and I'll say it again, the only females he ever mentioned in their song lyrics were Victim of Changes, Cheater, and Rockarola. Rockarola woman need a Rockarola man.
What was the second song you said?
Cheater from the first album, Rockarola. She was a cheater. And those lyrics were most likely written by their original frontman, Al Atkins.
Yes.
Yes, and The Victim It Changes, that song's about a woman with a drinking problem. We
Yeah,
listen
but
to the
Judas
lyrics.
Priest would have never been Judas Priest without Rob Halford.
Yeah, that's true there. And it's kind of hilarious when you think about it because Al Atkins is trying to market himself as someone like a Priest clone. He has this album called Victim
Mhm.
But Change, and his album cover is kind of similar to the Sin After Sin album cover. He even had a book out about his life, his autobiography called Rise of the Metal Gods. Like, what? Dude, we hardly, the whole wide world doesn't even know who you are, and you're complaining, and you're
Complaining.
proclaiming yourself as a metal god. Well, I was a singer before Rob Halford got in the group. Yeah, but Rob Halford got into the group because he was a better singer than you, pal. But also but we went back to Rob Halford. You may remember the period when Rob Halford left Judas Priest. We still do not know the full reason for that, but I guess Rob Halford wanted to do something else on the side, which was the War of Words album with his Project Fight. That album came out in 1993. It did pretty well on the heavy metal radio at that time.
Wait, we
Z
need to
Rock being
dive
one
in.
of
Hold
them.
on, Brown. We
Go
need to
ahead.
dive into Ace Frehley with Kiss, with the
Oh
topic.
yeah, yeah, because
Before
oh
we
man,
forget.
yeah, that I doubt very much at this point the original four would ever get back together. I mean, the last time they were back together was when he was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I guess Gene and Paul didn't want to play with those guys. They'll accept the awards and the induction, but I guess they're required to play a gig, I guess, soon afterwards. But unfortunately, Peter and Ace felt let down over that. In fact, word had it that Ace brought his guitar, had it under the table that they were sitting at, just in case they would actually do a show afterwards. But unfortunately, that never happened.
Well, did you know? Did you see the Glenn? I mean, the Geezer Butler is supposed to be on the show tonight.
Yeah, what's up with that? There was a post you put on your face on your when is Geezer Brothers supposed to be here?
Would you allow him in on here or no?
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath, one of my favorite bands as a teenager.
All right, let's get him in here real quick, brother. Calling in from England, so my time difference. Brown, what kind of questions are you gonna ask this guy? Are you gonna fuck around? Or are you gonna
No,
go?
I would give him compliments. I would ask a couple questions. How's everything going? How's Ozzy coming along? Glad he's talking to Ozzy again.
Well, he's not gonna be on the show tonight, but let's pretend he's
What?
here. What is Brown? We need to get some, and we can obviously start with Paul 3. Paul 3, like next week and the following weeks, guys. Before we dive into the Kiss,
Yeah.
we're gonna switch the times on the music shows. We're gonna do them Thursday so we can have Paul 3 on,
All right there.
and
So
because I want to get
you
some
mean
insights
switch
from like,
nights?
yeah, we're gonna just switch nights for
All
Paul
right there.
3.
All right. There you go.
I think he had a gig. He has a gig tomorrow or something, so we can't do it this week. But like, you know, normally we should switch nights to have Paul 3 on Thursdays, and then Wednesdays we'll do, the TB movie shows. I'm
Hmm.
saying we stick for that with a while. I mean, obviously we'll always have
Yeah.
wrestling to fall back on, but
Yeah. Right now,
after.
right now we're getting a lot of other stuff out of the way there.
Have you heard from Ark? in a while.
You know what? I haven't the last. I gotta email him to see when he's going to be coming back because I'm missing the dude like crazy. This is the longest that he's been absent from our shows. We miss him. I miss him big time. I'm going to be emailing him soon after we're done here and seeing when's he going to be coming back. For understand, he still has not found his new place, and I guess like I said, I'll Gmail him later on when we're done with this show. But he said, let's back to Kiss. I guess the issue with Gene and Paul is that in the past they had to deal with Ace's drinking and Peter Chris's drinking and drugging and drama. And I guess when he got back together back in the 1996,
In
to do the
90s.
yep, exactly, later half of the 90s, I should say.
Did you see any of that? Did you see any of that tour?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, I wasn't able to. Like I said, I have
Ah,
scheduling conflicts at the job I was working at that time. But they played Tiger Stadium. They sold out that spot in how many minutes? And for I understand, there was an issue with later on. I guess there was issues with Peter Chris not being paid enough money, so he departs from the tour a year later. It was supposed to have been their first farewell tour. So they got Eric Singer to come in and fulfill the rest of the tour there, wearing Peter's makeup, of course. And then later on, I guess there were issues with Ace Frehley coming about again. And so they got Tommy Thayer to fill in that spot. And it's been those four ever since on down the line up until the very end last year. Now, I guess, the reason why they didn't really want to deal with Ace and Peter was because of the drama and the issues they had in the past. Got to remember, issues like that they were dealing with for how many years tends to weigh heavy in the individual's mind. And I guess when people were encouraging them to get back with those guys and for one last time, they're afraid that those issues will be back again. The same thing with Skid Row and Sebastian Bach. It's like going to a summer camp with your ex-girlfriend, a drama queen. I realize you want to have fun in the summertime, going canoeing with your homeboys and homegirls and your ex-girlfriend. But did you really want to deal with her drama, her issues about what happened to her when she was a kid, what she went through as a kid? Think about it. When you bring in certain people, you're gonna have to deal with some of the baggage that comes along with it. Right. Now, I do know one person that will not be coming back to their old band, Dennis DeYoung and Styx. They stated many times that they're happy with Lawrence Gowan as their keyboard player and co-vocalist. Dennis DeYoung, he's not going to be coming back anytime soon. He's doing his thing. I guess they decided
he's
to
not even.
Go ahead.
Yeah, his solo touring has, dried up recently.
Wow.
Ever since COVID and what I mean, like it's I mean, look at Foreigner, Brown. I mean, they're pretty much done, man. I mean, they're done.
I know.
I mean, look at. That's why people can't really like. We can't really like. People can't shit on the tribute bands. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have respect and everything because that's all we're gonna have. Like,
I know.
Even the Paulo Abdul thing, that's all lip syncing, bro. No one wants to go. The Jennifer Lopez tour canceled. Did you see the Jennifer J Lo deal?
Well,
I mean,
who cares
these
about
newer
Jennifer
artists,
Lopez?
these newer. Well, I'm saying like these newer artists, like these year 2000s and up. It's all fake. It's not real.
Mostly pop acts.
Yeah,
That's how they are. Because, like I said before in another show that we did, when you're doing your dance moves in the music videos, and on the award shows. They expect you to be like that during the concert performances. They expect to give that dance move, that hype, everything there. And when you find that you're not doing it, you're concentrating on being a singer, they're going to be disappointed. So that's where the lip syncing comes in. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a bullshit move, but in the eyes of their managers and handlers, that's what they feel they have to do. In fact, speaking of which, look up on here on YouTube, Britney Spears Can't Sing. It's from a Vegas performance that she did years ago, and it shows her real voice. Way out of sync, way out of tune, way out of touch. Friend of mine, played that for me years ago. It's like, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not
She's a
eating
man.
anything.
She's a man's penis or something.
Oh gosh. Anyways, I guess all in all, yeah, we like these ex-members to come back to their old bands, but you also got to keep in mind that they have to get over their issues first before they come back into their old lineups. And some of these ex-members haven't really done all that. Now, I'm sure Sebastian Bach is not so wild and crazy as he was back in the day. And Ace Frehley has stated that he's been 12 years sober, no drinking and such. I don't know about Peter Criss. I know he had to retire from music, from playing drums. But personally, it would be nice to see Sebastian Bach with Skid Row once more, or a one-off show. Would be nice, for George Lynch and Don Dokken to reunite with Jeff Pilson and Mick Brown. But unfortunately, Pilson was with Foreigner. Mick Brown retired.
I think
And
Mick Brown's brother is on drums for George Lynch right now, by
the
the
Lynch
way.
Mob, yes. Lynch Mob. And would be nice, but it'll also be on the agreement of both George Lynch and Don Dokken to do a full tour together without breaking each other's necks, because those two were known to not see eye to eye. You may remember the story I told you about how they got into a big fight in the back of a limousine. They were having arguments over their management, and Don looked at George and said, I don't give a shit about you, motherfucker. And that's when George went off on Don. It would be nice to see all that I mentioned, but unfortunately, that will not be the case, sadly. So we have to accept things as it is. And I think we're done here with this episode. Now, tomorrow night, we're doing Mark Hamill, right, in Movie Madness, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. We got to definitely do this guy, because this man deserves a round of applause for the achievements that he's done as well. It'll be at the same time, I guess, 7 p.m. Eastern or earlier, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, there. So, without further ado, this concludes our episode of Music Maniacs with myself and the great YR. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel, Dr. Earl W. Brown. Subscribe to YR's channel, Entertainment Channel 360. And we will see you all later on. See you tomorrow night. Bye bye.
I remember this.
All right. Bye bye. See you tomorrow night, man.